Hi everyone, Zach here. Thanks again so much for taking my Coinflip workshop. This is the recap video that I'm making for all of the moves we learned in the workshop. So yeah, we're gonna get started. So first off, I just want to remind everyone that we talked about how like transitions and relations for Coinflips are like folds and escalators. So like good moves would be like folds and walkthroughs and stuff. You can transition really good to on and off body coin flip stuff. Escalator, same thing. So you could go into like neck coin flips or arm coin flips, whatnot. So just remember that. That's a good way to put these moves in your flow and not to feel like it's choppy to add. So the first thing we did was the on body coin flips. The first thing we talked about was arm coin flips. So how we started that is, actually let me get a different hoop. Sorry about that, I feel like you guys may be able to see this one better. Okay, so we talked about putting our arm straight out in front of us. The point of contact for this move is about 2 inches below your elbow, and we're going to swing out this little scoop type motion with a nice loose grip. Ideally you could do this swing with 2 fingers, but I want you to hold the hoop in your full hand. We talked about swinging until you get to waist level and then releasing the hoop the minute it makes contact with your arm. It should do a full flip, 1 full rotation around your arm. We talked about a couple different things. You can catch the hoop with the same hoop you toss with. We talked about how you can catch it with the opposite hand, the one that you actually point flipped around, and extend your arm all the way out. Now your wrist is facing forward. That's one other variation. The last thing we talked about is turning that into a helicopter. So the minute that you catch the hoop, so we're here, whoops, you can bring wrist to wrist, and then back in front of you, wrist to wrist, nice on you, turn it in, nice pretty helicopter move. For elbow coin flips, we talk about you're gonna take your elbow and you're gonna go bam. So now your wrist is facing your shoulder, and it's the same point of contact, so you're gonna do that swing, swivel motion, extend your elbow out. You're going to catch with the same hand that you coin flip with, that you release with after the swing. We also talked about after the hoop doing 1 full flip, if you put your opposite arm in, the one that you coin flip around, you could turn that into an escalator. So the way that works is it makes 1 full rotation, flip, you put your arm in, and the hoop starts coming down your body, so you're going to extend your arm all the way up to a left-sided upward escalator position if you're using your right hand for the coin flip on your left elbow. Opposite if you're left-handed dominant and you're doing a coin flip around your right elbow. And once you do that, once you lift up, you drop your head down to the right, and the hoop should fall in an escalator position. You're going to catch down by your left side. We talked about the neck coin flip. 2-handed neck coin flip. Your hoop is a clock, so it's 5 and 7, where you do the coin flips on your collarbone. So we talked about first going from left to right. So you're going to push back with your left hand at 7 and guide forward with your right. Should look like that after a couple of swings. So swing, swing, momentum, guide. Opposite looks like this. We talked about if you're having trouble, you can bend at the knees and do this move. So that way the hoop doesn't hit your shoulders when you're first learning. Ideally, you should be completely vertical once you got it nice and down because it looks the prettiest. But whatever works for you guys, definitely start by bending your knees and try to get more and more vertical until you can get that down completely. We talked about the one-handed coin flip. You're going to start with your hand all the way out to the right. You're going to swing in to where your hoop is in front of you, where your wrist is facing to the left. If your right hand is out, or opposite, your wrist is facing to the right if you're using your left hand. And we talked about swinging in here and then turning your wrist in with the hoop coming in at 7 o'clock. Once the hoop makes contact with your neck, you release, and you're going to catch it with the same hand that you spun in with. So that was the one-handed neck coin flip that we talked about. We talked about another one where you basically take the hoop at 5 and 7 again, and you get rid of the opposite hand that you're not going to coin flip with, and you're going to take, so for in this instance, we're going to take our right hand and we're going to push it around the left side of our neck like this. That's a one-handed coin flip. For down the road, that's really good for contact rolls, but for now, we just talked about practicing that, and you're going to catch it with the same hand that you coin flip with. We talked about the leg coin flips. So 2 leg coin flip is going to go on the small of your back right here. We talked about pushing the hoop with your right hand up to your belly button, or if you're left side dominant, you're going to mirror that, your left hand up to your belly button. and guiding down with, so we're going to guide down with our right, we're going to do right to left like this, guiding down with our right and just letting it do one spin. You're going to catch with the opposite hand that you push up with. So here we're pushing out with our right, we're going to first catch with our left. If you're doing opposite left right, you're going to push up with your left and then first catch with your right, just like that. We talked about if you go into waist hoop type motion, the minute the hoop makes contact with your belly button waist area, you can turn that into the waist coin flip. Couple of spins, it's good to start with like 1 or 2, and then eventually with like more force you can get 3 and 4 and etc. We talked about taking one leg out. Whatever leg you take out, the opposite leg you're going to lift up to balance. We also talked about how to do the one leg coin flip like this. You're going to push up kind of like we did for the 2 leg coin flip on the top of your quad and guide down with the opposite hand. Once you do that, you're going to release and once again catch with the opposite hand from what that you coin flipped with. To do a coin flip around a leg. You can do that around both legs. We talked about using that swing motion and doing the coin flip. I think it's a little bit smoother and prettier, but both look pretty cool. So what you're going to do, same point of contact, just on the opposite side of the leg. You're gonna swing the hoop to your waist level. The minute it makes contact with the back of your quad, you're going to release, and you can catch with the same hand. We also talked about dropping your foot down and going right into a wedgie. That's a pretty cool move. I like that transition a lot. We also talked about the shoulder coin flip. We talked about taking your hoop, bringing it all the way out to the right, hinging it into your shoulder. 20% of the hoop should be under your shoulder, 20% should be above. If the hoop is like down here and it's not right in your armpit area, you're just going to use your wrist to push the hoop upward until it is in that area. You're going to swing 2 or 3 times. The next time it makes contact with your shoulder, you're going to look straight at the hoop and you're going to, oops, that was a bad one. You're going to catch it with the same hand that you coin flipped with. The hoop should ideally, once you release, go right back into your hand, just like that. We also talked about segueing this into the back rotating coin flip. So instead of standing still, you're going to do a 180-degree turn in the opposite direction. And you're going to keep your arms completely extended, and you're going to catch the hoop with the opposite hand. It looks just like that. So once again, so swivel, swivel, and catch with the opposite hand. So troubleshooting for that move, just make sure you're keeping your arms straight. A lot of times I see people with the opposite elbow, they bend it in, the hoop wants to fall off their body. And yeah, if you're having trouble, you could just keep practicing that shoulder coin flip. Some things we didn't get to in all the workshops, guys. I want to give you some transitions. So if you get the first one down, you can actually do a couple of different things. So if you stick your arm in, kind of like that for the elbow coin flip, you can turn this into like a beautiful escalator transition like that. It might be easier for some of you versus catching it because you get to here, and instead of stopping the momentum with a grab, you're sticking your arm in and it's coming down your arm. Another thing we talked about too, that we didn't quite get to, I think I showed it to you guys, is if you pop, if you're doing this with your right arm to the left arm, and it's going first around your right shoulder to your left shoulder, etc., you can pop out the opposite leg, which would be your left leg, and do a 90-degree turn and stick your leg up like this. So you're going to do the move, the hoop's going to fall here, and there's a couple of different things you can do. Once the hoop falls and you get in your knee pit, you can take your wrist, lift the hoop over your head. Now you're going to wedge it in the opposite side of your body. Real time, that looks like, whoops, not like that. Sorry guys, I don't have a lot of room here. Looks like that's a nice pretty wedgie exit variation. Or you can kind of do something similar and just spin around and kind of clinch down and go into a wedgie like that. One more thing we did in the class was the neckulator. It's a 4-step move. So the first step, you're going to start on the right side of your body, and you're going to do this little escalator break till you get that down. Once you get that nice and smooth, once the hoop comes up with your right hand, you're going to swing the hoop out in front of your face. You are going to do a neck coin flip. You can use any of the ones that we went over, except for this one. It doesn't quite work for this move, so you can do the regular 2-handed one or the regular swing coin flip. So that's step 2. So up to this point, the moves look like this. Then you're going to put your hand inside the hoop, up and underneath. That's step 3. Step 4 is lifting the hoop up with your left hand above your head. So step 1 is escalator, 2 is coin flip, 3 is putting your arm in underneath the hoop, and step 4 is lifting the hoop up above your head. Once the hoop falls down the opposite side of your body, you're going to catch with your left hand. and in real time it looks like this. It's a really pretty combo move. I love this. I do it all the time. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we did for the on body. For off body, we started with floor spins. We talked about winding your hoop all the way to the left in this awkward position where your wrist is facing forward and it's kind of uncomfortable with your hand. And then we also talked about winding all the way to the right. And you're also kind of in not a slightly less awkward position, but basically for both of these, the wind should be to where your wrist is facing forward. And for all these moves that went to the right, if you're left side dominant, you're going to mirror everything I'm about to do. We talked about just releasing when the spinning all the way to the left, and then releasing when the hoop is your wrist is facing forward, and just doing a couple different spins, playing with your levels. We talked about like walking around the hoop, all kinds of cool stuff. The next thing we did is once we spin and release, we talked about lifting your left leg up over the hoop and dropping your foot down and going into wedgie like that. I like to do like a full spin around my hoop and then do this move because I think it's cute. We also talked about doing a lift and releasing at like waist level when we do this floor spin to give your hoop some air off of the floor. And once it falls, it should ideally, if you keep your wrist level to your hoop, should come down and do some more spins like this. And then from there, we talked about letting it do a couple of spins and then doing that wedgie move. It's a lot more difficult, but it's also really cool. If you're having trouble with that variation, we talked about the minute that the hoop touches the ground, you can also just go right into a wedgie, which I think is still really badass and easier. We also talked about doing this spin and turning it into an escalator, so you're going to release at your about head level, and as the hoop is coming down, you're going to stick your arm in where your wrist is making contact with about 12 o'clock on the hoop, and then lifting your head up, or lifting your arm up and dropping your head down to the opposite side, and having the hoop come down an escalator. If you're going to put your right hand in, it's going to look like this. Left hand. You can still do this move, you would just have to spin the hoop out the opposite way. Whoops. Like that. We talked about palm spin tosses. I'm doing a recap video. Let me get back to you. Can I get back to you? I'm in the middle of a 25-minute video. Thanks. Sorry, that was my mom. Okay. We talked about. What did we talk about? Last time train of thought. Oh, we talked about palm spin tosses. So doing palm spins, and then if you balance the hoop on your palm like you would and then push it off of your palm, you can have it do about 2 spins, and then you're going to catch on the outside of the hoop and then swing your hand inward. So from this direction, spin, spin, swing your hand inward. That's a cute little way. We also talked about tossing the hoop, and then if you put your arm in, kind of like for the last move, it'll fall down an escalator. So spin, spin, put your arm in about 12 o'clock, lift the hoop up above your head, and it should fall down and off the escalator on your body. We talked about horizontal coin flip tosses. So instead of spinning over your in your palm, it's going to spin over the back of your hand. So a regular one looks like that. We talked about once you release, you can catch by putting your hand up inside the hoop on the bottom, like here. And then if you're having trouble catching it, you can swing the hoop out to the left, going into a couple of different things. Like the same spinning. You can swing it just to your waist and swing back. All kinds of cool stuff. I like that one a little bit more than the palm spin toss. I feel like it's easier to catch, but the palm spin toss is cool because it goes into an escalator. So pick your poison and learn them all. We learned them all, but go back and try them all and figure out which one you like best. So let's see. Horizontal coin flip toss, we talked about all the things you can do with this. So it's basically the same way you'd start this arm coin flip, but we also, instead of doing that, we learned that you can do all kinds of different transitions off body. So one of the things we learned is if you do the release at your waist and let the hoop do about 2 spins, you can put your opposite arm in and go down an escalator. The point of contact is about 12 o'clock with your hoop making contact with the top of your wrist once again. Same for all of these coin flip escalator transitions. So you release here, flip, flip, put your arm in, lift your hoop, or lift your left arm up, and have the hoop fall down on your body. We talked about, transitioning into a helicopter, so your hoop could do like a flip flip, and it's the same thing. We're going to extend your opposite arm out, flip flip, helicopter transition. We talked about letting the hoop do just one flip and lifting your opposite knee from the hand that you're tossing with, and the hoop falling right here into your like groin pit area. So there's two things we can do. We can either take the tops of our wrists, put it underneath our hoop, bring the hoop above our head, and have our hoop fall on opposite side wedgie, then the leg that we're lifting up. I feel like that's a good move to start with. So once again, that looks like this. We also talked about if you have the hoop fall here, whoops, you have the hoop, you do the move and the hoop falls here, you can take your left foot to your right knee and one motion, then slide your foot down and go into a wedgie. It's a little bit harder. You have to do that in real time, all in one. Real time looks like this. So as the hoop makes contact with your knee and falls in that little pit, it's going to come up, and then that's when you do the move. What else did we talk about? We talked about we also talked about if you are doing the horizontal coin flip toss, you release here, and then you stick your same leg in that you toss with. So what you're going to do is you're going to pretend like you're about to get a kiss, you're all excited, you're going to pop your foot up, but instead of popping it up this way, it's going to pop out kind of towards the direction of your hoop. So pop up, the hoop is going to fall into your knee pit. You're going to grab it with your quad and your knee. You're going to take it like this. Your foot is already up and extended out. Clinch it. You're going to turn it in. You're going to drop it down to a wedgie. So start with one, get that down, and then you can transition to two. It's a little bit harder, but it's a little bit prettier. So try those out. I think that's all we talked about for the horizontal coin flip toss. The next thing we did was the over the back toss. Oh, I don't have a lot of room here, but hopefully this works. Okay. So we talked about a couple of different ways you can do that. So what you do is you're going to bring the hoop, you're going to hold it at 5 and 7. You're going to release once it gets to your face, but instead of like a full swing through, it's a flick. So you're going to flick. You can follow the hoop with your eyes if you watch it over your right shoulder. So there's a couple of different transitions. So the first thing we talked about is you can just stick your right leg out. Once again, fall in your knee pit, clinch, bring your foot down. That's one. We talked about if you turn towards your hoop, put your wrists again at the top of the hoop and bring the hoop over your body and turn towards the opposite direction. That's another cool transition. We also talked about if you don't turn towards the hoop, you follow it, and once it comes over, you bring it over your head. That's another transition. So I like to do, my favorite one is this one, and then once it comes down, I like to lift my leg up and then kind of continue the turns of the hoop. So all kinds of cool stuff you can play with. We talked about how the sideways walkthrough is like a transition for some of these moves. So you can walk through and that'll give you momentum to do like an escalator. You can walk through, then you can go into this coin flip, horizontal coin flip to wedgie. Same thing, even with the helicopter move. So that's just a cool transition besides the fold and the escalator for these moves. We talked about the jump throughs. So there's a forward jump through, so you jump through it forwards. That's just the move in itself. Jump through it's backwards, that's the move in itself. We also talked about coin flip jump throughs. So once the hoop, you jump through it forwards, you're gonna use that momentum to pull up on the hoop at 5 and 7. So once the hoop is back at your waist level, so here, I'm gonna do one coin flip, and then catching opposite with your hands on the bottom of the hoop and your wrist facing it. So, whoops. Whoops, I can't seem to do it today. There we go. Show you this way. We talked about how you could do that, and then you could also jump through the hoop. Once again, you jump through. Instead of catching, you put your wrist in. Whatever leg you want to go through, left or right, you can. It's just going to go into wedgie. Backwards, I like better. I think the momentum is a little bit smoother. So you backwards jump, you look like that. As it's coming back to your waist, you can release, catch once again underneath the hoop, 5 and 7. You can also do a jump through with this, all kinds of things you can combine and transition together. We talked about hoop taps, how you can do them without the jump throughs or combine them. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the hoop at 5 and 7. Instead of letting the hoop do a coin flip like this, what you're going to do is that as the hoop comes up to about face level, you're going to tap it with your dominant hand at 12 o'clock and let it do one full spin. And you're going to once again catch it at 5 and 7 on the bottom of the hoop. So one full spin, catch it 5 and 7. You can add more to that, whoops, but it's harder if you get down, and I don't have a lot of space here, but there you go, there's 2 spins. That would have been 3. You guys get the point. So with jump throughs, I think the easiest way to do this is a backward jump through, and then like a hoop tap, and then catch the hoop. So, sorry, I don't have a lot of room, but you guys get the point for that. It's cool combos. We also went over in some of the classes where you could do like a backward jump through, like a hoop tap, and then walk through your hoop. So all kinds of cool things you can combine and play together with. Let's see. What are the bonus skills we talked about? I'm not going to be able to really show you this because I have like a grill to the left of me and chairs to the right of me. But if you, instead of doing that flick for the over the back toss to like a wedgie, if you like do a full swing through and immediately turn around, pop your right foot up, you can have the hoop come onto your foot, like this. It should fall right here on the top of your ankle. And then if you have room, you can ideally turn that into a scorpion. Fun little bonus skill for you guys to work on. Let me see if I can do it from this angle. So we're here, and then it would fall on your foot, and you grab it at whatever point you like. Alright, thank you guys again so much for taking my workshop. If you have any more questions or if I forgot anything, please reach back out to me, let me know, and yeah, practice. Make sure that you do all these coin flips with the momentum we talked about, not necessarily with a flick, except for the flick that we did for like those very couple specific moves, like the over the back toss and like the hoop jump through coin flip tosses. Everything else on body coin flips is all through the swing momentum. And yeah, once again, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy hooping.